Audrey Withers was a really unlikely editor of British Vogue during the Second World War, in the sense that she was very practical and utilitarian and can-do.
I just want to say congratulations on this really beautiful and important film. And I'd like to go to you first, Andrea, and ask you a little bit about playing this character, this woman who is kind of, having to toe the line with her male bosses, but then also ultimately knows what the right thing to do is, and aligning herself with Lee. Would you talk a little bit about that kind of juxtaposition that she's in?
Audrey Withers was a really unlikely editor of British Vogue during the Second World War, in the sense that she was very practical and utilitarian and can-do. But as I say that, I suppose that really makes her the perfect candidate during a war, because she rallied toward the war effort in every way. And one of the things that she really wanted to do was to give women a voice in all of this, because in this great fallout that conflict causes, so many stories are happening. And so she wanted Vogue to be an instrument to really convey those messages to the world. And when she saw Lee's potential, she in every way wanted to shine a light on her incredible talent, not only as a photojournalist but also as a writer. She wrote beautifully and was a brilliant war correspondent, and really, really fought to try and help Lee get as close to the front line as she could. There were lots of hurdles. She did it very imperfectly, and her hands were kind of tied by the British government more than once. But she wanted the world to know Lee's work.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you so much. And Andy, would you talk a bit about David and his very important friendship with Lee? They really saw each other through the most precarious moments of their lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they experienced things together, in the name of their work that most people would not ever go through. So
Yeah.
I think it became an important relationship for both of them, obviously, and they became teammates. They had this mission and they were seeing it through together, but they also had a lot of admiration and respect for one another.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. And then, Andrea, would you talk a little bit about some of these larger themes of Lee? I mean, the fact that it touches on sexual abuse is really powerful. And, these are some of the stories that, we hear quite often today that are finally being, brought into the light. Would you talk a little bit about being a part of a project that's not afraid to take on those big subjects?
It's so difficult to know whether the people, not just these two women that we're talking about, but people in general, whether they were having these conversations or not. It's not always documented what people say to each other behind closed doors, or in great intimate friendships. But I think one of the things that film is just incredible at doing is giving voice to those things that might not have been able to have a voice, in a different time. And so we do step into that territory of talking about relationships and abuse and life having not been easy for many different reasons. And that may or may not have been a conversation that they actually had, but it's whether it was spoken or not. I think between Lee and Audrey, there was a sort of a complicity and understanding that life is not easy, nor is it perfect, and we all of us have many shared common experiences. And so I think it's beautiful that the movie touches on that.